Hello everyone and welcome back. Dom here, and on this video I'm really excited to show you Transverse, a brand new instrument for HALion, HALion Sonic and HALion Sonic SC that focuses on designing reverse sounds, sweeps, transitions, risers and rhythmic riffs for your projects. All these sounds are essential and have become a staple in modern music production, whether you produce pop, electronic music or music for film and TV. Transverse makes the creation of these sounds easy and gives you full access to all the necessary parameters so that your risers and transitions are always in sync and as massive as you'd like them to be. So let's jump into Cubase and let me show you what it can do. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a walkthrough of quite a few of the presets that we have in Transverse, and I'm also going to show you how it works, the interface, and also what cool things you can do when you create your own sounds with Transverse, because it makes creating transition sounds, rhythmic sounds, and all these amazing build-up effects super easily. So before we get started, let me play a track that I've prepared for you. This is entirely built using Transverse. There's nothing else, no samples. Everything that you hear comes from Transverse. So let's have a listen. So, as you can hear, lots and lots of transitions. You can create incredible sounds, and basically you can create tension for as long as you like with a different transition every time. If you've ever produced music for film or TV and you have an action scene, you know how important it is to have these kind of sounds that are very easy to manipulate, and you have a wide variety of them at your disposal, because you might have a scene that has constant tension, and Transverse is incredible for all these things. So let me play a few of the presets for you, and actually I'm going to start with some presets that I've used for this specific track. So let's try this first one. So this is called Clam and Collected. So this was basically giving me a little bit of groove for my track. Let's try this one now. This is called Classic Spice. So this is like a nice kind of analog style bass. Let's try this one. This is called Come Again. See, it has this nice build up. Let's try and change some of the parameters there. So right here I'm changing the waveform. I'm going to talk about this in detail later on. I just want to give you a quick idea of the sounds that you can get with Transverse straight out of the box. The next one is called Coming Soon. Let's try this one. Let's add some drive. So as you can see, you can change the sound very easily. You can perform all these, great things like add a little bit of drive, use your filters, maybe add a little bit of reverb or delay. This is all in the first page. Let's go to the next sound, which is a riser. It's called Grand Riser, and it sounds like this. And now I'm going to tell you the thing that basically separates Transverse from anything else that creates transition sounds. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a really long riser. Now, the problem with risers when you're producing electronic music, or where you're producing film music, and even in pop music, risers are a big part of the sound, right? They create tension, they create anticipation, all these things. But the problem that you always have with risers is that you always have to tweak them manually. You have to place them so that they're in sync with the point where you want the riser to end, okay, with a kind of peak point. And because of that reason, many people, what they tend to do, even if they're using an instrument, they tend to bounce everything in audio, and then they basically try to sync it by placing the audio file inside their DAW in the correct place. And sometimes this takes a lot of work. Now with Transverse, you don't have this problem. Let me show you. Let's say I wanted to make this riser a little bit shorter. Okay, let's go and set the sync time to 1 bar. Okay, done. Let's say I want to make it 2 bars. All right, let's say I want to make it 8 bars. You know, this is something that really brings a smile to my face, first of all, because it's something that you can't really do with audio files, right? When you stretch an audio file, then you lose quality, then everything sounds a little bit terrible. But with Transverse, you have no problem with this. And it's always going to be in sync with your tempo. For example, let's set it to 2 bars, and let's play my track. And I'm going to have a click track so that we can hear this. It's amazing. And this you can do with rhythmic effects. You can make risers that have a pitch going up, and they will all be in sync. I'm going to show you all this in a second. Let's play a few more sounds, and then I'm going to go and create a sound from scratch, okay? Let's try this sound. This is called Metallic XY Pump. And as you can see, I have a little bit of automation here. It might look a little bit complicated, but it's really not, because what I did is if you go from the main screen to the modulation screen, you have the XY pad. And here you can assign different parameters to the XY axis, as you can see right here. So I can select and then select the parameter that I want. Again, I'm going to show you all this in more detail, but let's hear how it sounds. Let's play it. So if I want to automate this, all I need to do is hit record automation, then do my movements, and immediately these controllers are recorded inside your DAW. In this case, I'm using Cubase. Let's have a listen to another sound that I like a lot. This is the Jenga crane. Really beautiful sounds, great for also kind of industrial music. If you're doing music for video games, you will find Transverse really good for the job. Now I want to show you a little bit how you can create your own sounds with Transverse. Obviously, you can start modifying the effects. And the easiest way to do this is on the main page. So let me talk a little bit about what you can find in the main page. First of all, we have the filter, cutoff. Okay, resonance. So this is really nice. Let's turn down the reverb a little bit. Transverse has 3 layers, and these provide noise sources, oscillators, and samples to build sounds. For example, in this preset, the first layer is a custom sample. If I go to custom, you will see that here we have a custom sample. And the great thing is you can also load your own user samples right there. And then we have 2 more layers. Let's listen to them in isolation. I'm going to turn them on so that we can hear them right here. So, okay, so this is the custom sample. This is the second one, the digital. So this has its own pulse. Then we have the analog. And I can change all this. Or I can turn it into a noise layer. Same with this one. So these buttons switch from oscillator to noise, okay? This gives you a lot of flexibility. You can make a riser have a little bit of a pitch information so that it gives you even more tension, or just leave it atonal so that it doesn't clash with other instruments that you have. So for sweeps, for build-ups, for rhythmic effects, it's all great. Then we have a stereo width control here and a stereo spread. Well, this spreads the layers across the panorama. And then one of the most important things is here, the ADSR. And for example, if I go back to my ground riser, you will see that the ADSR is set to sync. That means that the transition or the actual sound will be synced to the project tempo. For example, and then you can change the division. For example, you can have half bar, you can have quarter notes, you can have eighth notes, you know? Or you can have 16th notes. And then count means how many 16th notes you will have, for example, in this case. Or if I set it to bar, how many bars we're going to have the sound last for. And this is great. Then we have the curve that changes. The curve when the sound fades in, and we also have a soft release button, and if we choose so, we can set this to time instead of beats. For example, if I know that I want my build up to last for 2 seconds, I can set this to time and set it to 2 seconds. Okay? So this is going to be precise no matter what. Then if you want, you can also turn it into ADSR, so this will act like a normal ADSR. And then we have delay and reverb right here, which of course we can control. If we go to the effects tab, here we can control the reverb and delay separately, and we have the parameters that we need. When we go to the custom page, you can see that we have our custom sample if one exists, but we can also have granular synthesis here. So this gives you even more flexibility if you want to create your own sounds. It could be a sample, or you can use granular synthesis. Now, in order to show you all the other cool things that we have in Transverse, I'm going to start building a sound from scratch. So I've loaded the initialize preset, and it sounds like this. Okay, very straightforward. And let's create a sound right now, okay? So we have the 3 layers, let's listen to them. So they all have a different character, and if I want, I can change the noise profile. I like this one. Let's go to the second layer and listen to it in isolation. You know what? I'm going to turn this into a digital oscillator. That's nice. Okay, and let's go to the analog layer. I like this one. This has a lot of low end. Nice. So let's turn them on all at the same time. Okay, and maybe I want to add a little bit of drive to the digital layer. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so let's say I want this to last for 2 bars, okay? So I have this set to bar, and now let's try and select 2 bars. Perfect. So this is 2 bars, that's fantastic. Now let's go and start creating my sound. I'm going to go here to modulation, and here is where you can do some really cool stuff. First of all, like I said, you can use the XY pad to, let's say, add my filter, my master resonance, my drive, my pitch, all right here. Okay, so this is very easy. Let's say I want to add, just for the fun of it, I'm going to add the pitch here, okay? This is great. I think you understand the concept for this one. You can basically assign different parameters to all these slots. Now I'm going to clear that, and I'm going to go to the curse envelope, which is really nice. Check it out. Okay, so as you can see, we have this envelope right here, and this envelope can control my amplitude, it can control my filter, my pitch, my grain position, if we have the grain oscillator activated. So let's try it out and let's see how it sounds. Okay, this is the amplitude. Let's try the filter. Let's try the pitch. So cool. Now let's make it a little bit slower. Maybe I can change this and make it like half bar. Or quarter note. Now maybe I want to change the shape. How do you do this? We go here, shapes, and here you can select from these shapes. Isn't that cool? Now let's try this one, for example, and let's go like this. Okay, and you can select any of these shapes. Now let's say I want to make this So can you see that? Basically, I can do whatever I want. I can create a very custom transition effect or a build-up sound very easily with just tweaking a few parameters. Okay, so let's say I want to change the shape to something like this, and I can go like that. Okay, or I can go very fast this time. So, you know, sky's the limit. You can do all these things very easily. Now, I want to move on to the LFO section, so I'm going to put them back in the center. And then I'm going to go to LFO. Now, here is where you can set up your LFOs for the same parameters. And they're all going to be, again, in perfect sync. So again, we have all the layers, metallic, digital, and analog, and I can treat them differently. For example, let's say I want to take my digital layer and add maybe a pitch LFO. And maybe for the metallic layer, I want to tweak the filter. And maybe instead of quarter notes, maybe I want to go like half notes. And maybe for the analog layer, I might want to have the LFO for the amplitude. So this is all done with just a few tweaks, and it's not like complex routing. Everything is laid out for you. It's ready to go. For example, if I want to change this now to 4 bars. Like, okay, so try and do this with WAV files. Or try and create a sound like this with a synthesizer. You would have to have like multiple layers and layers of synthesizers so that you can create this kind of sound that we just created super easily here in Transverse. So the last thing that I want to show you, because This is the modulation. We have the XY pad, we have the curves envelope, and the LFO and envelope sections. Now, as the last thing, I want to show you how you use your own samples. So the way that custom samples work, let's isolate this first layer. This is where the custom samples are going to be loaded. So right now, it sounds like this. Now, maybe I want to load my own samples to complement the sounds that come with Transverse. In order to do this, all you need to do is go to Custom, and then you turn Custom on. And here, you can either load preset. As you can see, we have a library of presets. For example, I can say I want to load this snare hybrid, and maybe I want to turn it into reverse. Or I can load my own samples. For example, I can grab a sample from Media Bay here and just drag it into my custom layer. So this is like a hi-hat that I have recorded from a real drum machine. And as you can see, I can set the in and out point. Okay, and I can make it play in reverse or straight. And the special thing with Transverse that makes all the difference is that you can sync the end of those sounds with everything else that goes on in Transverse. For example, if I have this set to 4 bars, I can go here and let's listen in context. See what happened here? My sample ended very quickly. It wasn't on the 4th bar. So how do you fix that and how Transverse can help you with that? You only have to click on sync to end, okay? And then you can set your in and out points. Maybe I want my sample to start from here, and check it out now. So this is incredible. Can you hear how much more intense? Again, like I said, this is just a simple sample. If I select another one, for example, this one, it's going to be, again, in sync, regardless of the length of the sample. So there you go, guys. I think it's very clear now that if you ever want to create custom transition sounds, sweeps, effects, risers, or any kind of cinematic sound for that matter, Transverse is the recipe for you. It allows you to create completely unique sounds really fast. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have fun with Transverse, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.